Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I am the Gothic Rose, and this is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. If this is your type of content, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and hit that bell, because I am not going to stop. Hello, dear fiends of the Den. It is me, the Gothic Rose, back with more controversy and conspiracy theories about the Epstein files. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that a ton of MAGA people who now were not on board with learning anything about the Epstein files are now into it because Donald Trump did the distraction thing and threw their least favorite president's name in, and that is Barack Obama. So it's getting really weird because now they're like, oh, no, he definitely had something to do with this Epstein thing, but there's never been a connection between Obama and Epstein until now. We know that there's connections between Clinton and Epstein. We know there's connections between Prince Andrew and Epstein, and we know that there are connections between Donald Trump and Epstein. And we also know that, according to Senator Dick Durbin, about 1,000 FBI personnel files were placed on 24-hour shifts in March to comb through roughly 100,000 Epstein-related documents, and these agents were reportedly told to flag any records mentioning the current president, Donald Trump, and that is under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. Now, I just want to say one thing about Pam Bondi. She knows Trump from the late 1990s, early 2000s. She was then a Florida prosecutor and began appearing at events where Trump was present, and they shared ties to Palm Beach and Mar-a-Lago and likely facilitated introductions. And in 2003, this is before Donald Trump was in politics himself, he donated $25,000 to Pam Bondi's reelection PAC while she was Florida Attorney General. And this raised eyebrows because her office had received complaints about Trump University around the same time, and she let that drop. So definitely she's there to support Trump the way she has before. So my belief is that Project 2025 now, who just died yesterday or 2 days ago, excuse me, Edwin Fuellner at 83 years old, who was one of the architects behind Project 2025. Now, did he die of old age or did he die of knowing something? So this is where I'm like trying to put things together. So the Wall Street Journal publishes the letter with the drawing that Trump gave to Epstein for his 50th birthday. And this was back in 2003. Now, Trump is suing Rupert Murdoch and News Corp for defamation. Now, of course, you have to go through discovery to find out who is defaming who. That's how things get settled out of court. Discovery still happens because this has to do with the President of the United States and Epstein. I'm sure things will leak. So this is because the Wall Street Journal published a bombshell alleging Trump's name and risque drawing appeared in Epstein's birthday album. And we do know that Donald Trump tried to get this story squashed for days. Now, of course, all these legal experts are saying this $10 billion figure is wildly inflated, but it always is. But this is about controlling the narrative, just like he controlled the narrative with CBS 60 Minutes and now Paramount and CBS merger, and that Stephen Colbert is out. Now, here's the weird connection, because we all know that JD Vance, who was backed by Peter Thiel, who also has ties to donating to Trump and business ties with Epstein, just hours before the Wall Street Journal story dropped, Vance flew to Montana on Air Force Two. Now, this was a separate meeting, completely independent of anything that Donald Trump had to do. And he met with Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch and Fox executives at Murdoch's ranch. Now, this meeting was not publicly announced, and it lasted only a few hours, and it included a short hike with his wife, Usha. That's an interesting point. That's an interesting point because what did they talk about on this hike when nothing could have been recorded? Is Vance preparing to become president? So he is the chair of the RNC Finance Committee. So it could be that he's doing fundraising, but why would he be doing fundraising for himself only 6 months into the Trump administration? His job as vice president is literally to just support Donald Trump and vote in a tie-breaking vote at any time there is one. So it's weird. So the timing to me is like strategic alignment. It's forewarning of something because again, Trump talked about his health for the first time. So let's just talk about that for a quick second. Why, with all of this Epstein scandal, did Trump talk about his health? We're supposed to think that he's the healthiest person in the world, but he was recently diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, CVI, a condition where the veins in the legs struggle to return blood to the heart properly. This is not good for a president of the United States who is being erratic. Maybe he's not getting enough blood to his heart and enough oxygen to his brain, and that's why he's so erratic. Now, it's common in older adults, and it typically causes swelling, bruising, and discomfort. But the White House keeps saying he's in excellent health despite this. So CVI is benign but chronic, and it affects 1 in 20 adults, and swollen ankles and bruising. But it matters politically because he's 79 years old. He is the oldest president, or one of the oldest presidents in history. I'm sorry, Biden was older than him. But this is amid this flashpoint speculation. There was a viral TikTok that falsely claimed that he only had 4 days to live, and the White House strongly denied that. And obviously it is not true because he is still here, but wow, what a thing to say. So with that, my theory is Rupert Murdoch, although he skims the line between truth and fact, is a big proponent of the First Amendment and free speech. So I personally feel that this lawsuit about discovery is more about discovery than actually winning because they can let things out. And what they want to let out is the fact that Trump and Epstein are a lot closer than we think. And I really believe that the only way to save everyone is literally for the media to push this narrative and, push all of this firestorm about his refusal to release the Epstein files, the mass deportations, and all of the things that he's doing, defunding public media, including NPR and PBS, and this undermines the civic infrastructure because if you're defunding this and you're suing all of these major networks, and Fox was already involved in the 2020 lawsuit where they had to give up like $1 billion just for pushing, the lies about the 2020 election. So they've already been in a bad position for Trump. So I do believe that this is about saving democracy from many angles. So the New York Times and The Economist described Trump's agenda as a rewind to pre-globalization America, and this is regressive. And Democracy Now! And CPJ warn of a chilling effect on journalism, citing executive actions that restrict press and access funding. Now, how long until Fox News or NPR or OAN or whatever Newsmax piss him off by giving a clue out that he might not be as perfect as they say? So if you're doing this to one, you're doing this to all. And if he has involvement in the Epstein files, if anyone has involvement in the Epstein files, they should be brought to justice. And we're going to talk about that with photo evidence from tweets and video evidence that I have found for the rest of the week. But this money trail leads back to Peter Thiel and JD Vance, because remember, Donald Trump did not want JD Vance for vice president. And he said himself that he did not think that JD Vance was going to carry on and be his predecessor. So this is all wildly convenient because we know JD Vance absolutely wants to be president, and this is probably his only chance. I doubt anyone would elect him in 2028. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for joining me in the den. So, if you have anything to add, anything at all, leave a comment, or if you have a big long story, email me at welcometothedenpodcast@gmail.com, and thank you for joining me in the den.